Today we're going to be delving into bishop versus knight imbalances in the endgame. We're going to be taking a look at a Fischer game where Fischer fumbles the bag, a Naroditsky game that is absolutely insane. Then we're going to look at an easy knight versus bishop where the knight overpowers the bishop, and vice versa, one where the bishop overpowers the knight. I believe the best thing you could do in modern chess is study endgames. Winning the one game is no easy task. It's even more difficult if you don't study it. When I was a kid, never liked openings, only studied endgames. It was enough to reach master. So, you know that famous GM that says work backwards in chess? There is a lot of truth to that. A couple updates. Speaking of my chess course, my chess school, personal chess school, I finished my first opening course. It's going to be like a space hippo, I called it. It's like a hippo / Owens. A romantic era chess where you get a space advantage, and it works very well. Like, my students who are 1900 are trying it. They're absolutely destroying people. I'll give you a little preview. You're going to get positions like this, like, oh no, what's happening? You just go bishop to c6. You know, these are the types of opening positions we like. You might be like, why would I ever do this? Well, you see if they take, check, king d1, fork. So you're going to get goofy positions. King f7, bishop b4, rook e8, check. It's going to be good stuff. That's your preview. You know, we want our own chess school. We're going to be spreading education. It's kind of like politicians. They say it in a diplomatic way. We're spreading democracy. We're going to be spreading democracy online. You know, good guys. So, thank you for the support on my last video as well. It's pretty awesome. Kind of gives you a little bit of height, even though I've been out of it. We're going to be back in the US. Professional setup. Then we're going all in on the interweb. So, let's get into chess. Who's winning? Have you been thinking about the position while I was speaking? Come on. Double task. Every chess player should be good at it. So it is white to move. Who's winning? You might count the material and be like, well, white's winning because +1. But chess is an abstract game. So put your abstract goggles on and let's get to business. Black is winning because that is a beautiful knight. There's a lot of holes in white's position, light squared holes specifically. These pawns are blockaded on dark squares, so this bishop is not so bueno, not so good. I would say one trick to be aware of in endgames with knights is always be aware of the base of pawn structures, right? Like sacks like this always exist to create a passer when you have the space advantage with the knight. So it's something to look forward to. So they're probably going to move their bishop. You're going to go knight f6. Why are you going to go knight f6? Why are you going to leave an outpost? Well, you're going to leave one outpost to go to arguably a better outpost. It's going to tie the king down to h2. It's going to tie the bishop down to e3. And then it becomes pretty simple from here. Say they go bishop to b2, you still go knight to g4, and how do you win this? We're going to be talking about concepts in this one. Well, the way to win this is you're really in no rush, so I'm going to argue you just go king g7, king f7, you just march your king all the way over here, you take, and you win the game. Pretty simple. Let's go to another simple one. This one is the bishop overpowering the knight. I would love if it loads. It did load. Why is white better? This is going to help you with the Fischer versus Spassky one. Why is the bishop better? The bishop is better because of this open sniper of a diagonal that luckily is also the promotion square. Also, who has the better king? Well, it depends whose move it is, right? But it's white to move. Right now, black's king is in the box. If you push the pawn up 1, black's king can step into the box. But if you push the pawn up 2, it cannot step into the imaginary box. Ironically, geometry was the only math class I didn't like. I took everything. I took Diffie-Q, took fluid mechanics, heat transfer, Calc 1, 2, 3, linealgebra, everything. And I hated geometry in high school. It made no sense. I was like, I played chess and geometry makes no sense. Explain that. So, pawn to a4, you want to make a queen. They don't have too many good moves. I would argue the best thing they could do is try to get their knight to a7 to blockade. It's going to be like something like such, here, 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 here. You force the knight to move yet again, and then they blockade. What piece can you improve now? Well, the easiest piece to improve would be the king. So king, king, they're going to match your king in the center. And now how do you win? Well, their knight can't really waste any moves. This bishop is a beast, right? This bishop is a beast. Their knight can't really waste any moves. It could waste one, but then your king gets to b5. Now, if it goes here, you just push and you win. So they could argue that white can't make progress, but white doesn't need to make progress. White just needs to maintain. Black is going to be forced to push a bunch of pawns like so, and eventually he's just going to run out of moves. Right? This is essentially like a Zooks 1 position. Either the king moves here, you can infiltrate. The knight moves, you come up, and if the king goes here, you gain opposition. You pick up the pawn. They're too tied down to this pawn, and you just promote with the other pawn. So those are our warm-ups. Also, on the chess school, for those who stuck around, I'm going to be having like a weekly group class is my idea. And I'm also going to be looking at like endgame books. So you guys can recommend endgame books or any type of books for me to read. And I will post them as like my thoughts, right? Because you got to explain it. Because chess books are pretty boring. Like I can read Dvoretsky and I can explain it to like a 1500. And I think that's what chess should be about, right? You read chess books and it's like these authors are just trying to flex with the bolded print and the not bolded print. Doesn't need to be like that. There are key concepts that can be pulled from positions. That's what I intend on doing. But it'll be easy, right? It'll be structured like a class, homework. You'll see. Let's get into it. This is our Naroditsky game. Naroditsky is playing with the white pieces. He's playing a master with the black pieces, and this game is incredible. So who's better and why? White's better because he has a safe king, he has an outside pass pawn, and it's his move. What would you play as white here? The best move is just to take the pawn. Just take the pawn and argue in the long run you're better. Naroditsky, however, pushed the pawn. Not bad, but black has something here. He has a resource. So find what black should do in this position. Many of you might say the move bishop to c8. That is what is played in the game, so that we are, of course, going to take a look at. The resource black had was actually bishop takes h3. The point of this move is if king takes, queen takes check, wherever the king moves, wherever the queen moves, you take the pawn on b6. And I would actually rather play black here. You have 3 pawns for the knight. If you're not careful with the rotation, you need to be very precise with knights, right? Like knights versus only pawns can easily lose because they're bad at stopping past pawns. If you choose the wrong route, they can be very awkward, and like a pawn could be stronger than a knight in a simplistic endgame. This, however, at best play, should pretty easily be a draw. Just don't blunder your knight as white, and don't let the pawns get moving too fast. So this was possible for black, but white would still be winning. Do you know how white would still be winning? Find the move. There's only one, and that move is queen to g3. Of course, you cannot trade queens here because the pawn runs. And even if the pawn doesn't run, like say like bishop c8, it just doesn't work because the pawn is going to run essentially. So after this, black would go queen to b2. You take the bishop. Black takes. This, you're going to need to be accurate. For example, the only winning move here is knight to d4 because it's an outposted knight. But this is going to take a lot of time. Like this is definitely was a big error because you lost your outside passer. Okay, you have 2 against 4 with a knight. It's going to take a lot of grinding. These types of endgames are harder than you think. But in the game, black missed his chance and went bishop to c8. Sensible move, right? Stopping the pawn from coming to b7. Now what? What should white do? I think very easy approaches are just to offer a queen trade with queen to g3 or knight to d8 going b7. By the way, Naroditsky is like my favorite YouTuber or favorite chess person because he has like no ego, which is quite ironic. I mean, he's very humble and like filthy at chess. Like he is disgusting at chess. And yeah, he's a humble guy, good guy. And I feel like he actually loves chess. That's what I like about Naroditsky. A lot of these people, it doesn't even seem like they love the game. It seems like they use it as a tool. Like you can tell he absolutely just loves the essence of the game and loves everything about it and wants to help people. I can respect a guy like that. Where were we? So b6, we get bishop to c8. And here Naroditsky went queen f4. Now in the game, what black decided to do was go queen to a2, defending the pawn. Naroditsky played knight to d8, and black resigned because there's nothing else to do. So, ironically enough, Naroditsky didn't put too much thought into queen takes queen, but it would have been impossible, almost impossible to win as white, and that's what we're going to delve into. So this queen trade, why is it so good for black? It's still winning for white, but you need to play precise for the rest of the game. What is the winning line here? Try to find it. Some people might be like, well, I need to step into the queening box. You are correct. Some people might say king g3. You are incorrect. King to g3 actually loses the game. Why does king g3 lose the game? h4 check. If king takes, it's a deflection you promote. Right? Knights are bad at stopping past pawns. You might be like, well, I'll just go king f3. Problem with king f3 is there is a fork. Not a fork, a pin. So, this is a winning endgame for black. So king g3 would be quite a blunder. So you have to play king g1, staying in the box. What can black go for? What's his best attempt? Some people might say bishop a6, but ironically you actually want the king to come to f1. So king g7 is the best attempt, trying to scoop up these pawns one by one. White only has one winning move here. It's very hard to find. Why is king f1 bad? Let's start with that. Bishop to a6. The king is in a little bit of a box, a bit of a box, and now it is a draw because of king f6. It is just a draw because of king f6. You might be like, I don't understand. This looks like it is winning. Things are not always what they seem, right? The king cannot guard everything. Check. You scoop the pawns. So knight d8 doesn't quite work. King f1 does not work. What else could white try? Some might argue knight to d8. This also does not work. It's essentially the same type of endgame, right? Here, take, here, g3, king e4. You just can't stop everything, right? You're going to go here and take all the pawns. Even this fork doesn't work because it's just not enough. You just win the pawns. And if king to g2, for example, you just deflect the king away. Look at that. You're down a whole knight, yet it's a draw, simply because you have the better king. So what is the only winning move for white? The only winning move for white is pawn to f5. Okay, why? Well, if bishop takes, that's easy. White makes a queen. If pawn takes, I would argue that's quite easy as well. You just go here. If the bishop goes away, you push and queen. Bishop doesn't go away. This is a pretty basic endgame to win as white. Black doesn't have enough pawns. Just don't lose your pawns and you're big chillin'. So I would argue black's best attempt is to go king to f6. Okay, you don't want to lose this pawn, so trade this pawn. Now how to win. Well, you see, now black has one less pawn. And that was the closest one black was to winning. So knight to d8. Now it is just too little too late. The king is going to try to come up, but it is just not in time. Right, king to f1, king to d3, something of the sort. You just got the knight in. This pawn is not going anywhere. Here, I don't know, here. There's no way in. You can even go king f1. So, this was a pretty filthy endgame. There was a lot to learn from this. Play out those positions with the computer, the queen versus knight. I think that would help. That would be good. Yeah. And now let us get to Bobby Fischer. Have you ever heard of that guy? The GOAT. The GOAT. Where is this Fischer game? That's not it. Should have loaded it up. That's also not it. There are 7 chapters in this study. I don't use lead chess too much. So, this is a draw, depending on whose move it is, right? Whose move it is, because is that knight going to get gulagged? No, it's not, because Kaspersky played knight c4. This is a draw, but who's playing for a win? White is playing for a win because he has the long-range piece, and it's an open board. Kaspersky is playing with the white pieces. So this is like a draw, right? Like a pseudo draw, I guess you could call it. Fischer went 95, already messing it up. What did he have to do? He had to go king h6 because your goal is to exchange one of these pawns to make it a lot easier, right? Having a 1-on-0 with the king on the same side better than having the 2-on-1 on that same side. And the point is, like, when you try to trade it off, black won't be able to just push. So, like, you might get bishop here, gaining a tempo, knight to e5. The king might try to come for this pawn, but it's just not going to work. I mean, of course, he's going to go g3 first, king g4, king here, and then, you know, chilling, draw. Big draw. So, what should black do? That's what black should have done. All right, we zoned out, we're zoning back in. Spassky is getting opposition. He goes back. He's like, draw. Fischer's like, no draw, win. I don't think Spassky wanted a repetition. He was just going to do a twofold, maybe gain some increment. I don't know what the status was. But Fischer plays too quickly with g5. And, okay, he wanted the taking position. That would be a draw. But Spassky pushed instead. And that is a nuisance of a pawn for the rest of the game. Fischer will now not be able to make progress, unlike Spassky, who will. Now remember, this knight is tied down to this pawn. This bishop is not tied down to anything, and it's a long diagonal. This bishop is going to cut the king off, disallowing black's king from meeting white's king, stopping the progress. Spassky starts making progress on the queen side, that is. Quick math, not even math. And Fischer essentially just gets Zooks ones. Knight g8. Bishop to b1. Okay, he's changing diagonals because he wants to go here, but he doesn't even want to deal with the pawn running. He doesn't want the knight to come back to g8. King a6, king c6. Look at how precise these people are. Of course, taking is winning, but he doesn't want to get gulagged on the a file. I'm starting to say that word quite a bit. So he gains a tempo on the knight, and then look at this precision. This is like super GM thinking. Like, it's like you don't need to do it, but you're going to make it as easy as possible because you know winning the one game is not easy. In this position, Fischer just resigned because there is absolutely no counterplay here. Black is tied down to everything. White gets his king out, and white wins the game. So we did 4 difficult endgames. I hope they were helpful to you. Thank you as always for watching. I'll see you next time, soon in the US, the US of A. Peace out, my boys.